Okay, finger knife.
Are we recording automatically, Pavel?
Yeah, Lori we're live, so it's a slight delay, but I can see it on another screen. We're on.
That it's recording. Okay, good. Deal. Okay, good.
There's a hi and a hola.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Hello.
cool. Where in the chat? There's the chat.
Here you go.
Hola. Hi, Dax. Hi, Susanna. Hi, Mashad. Oh, wow. Here they come. This is wonderful. Hey, hi, everybody. Hey, Ryan. Hi, Morningstar. Hugo Medina. Hi, Hugo. Yes, I'm in my car. I know that's embarrassing. It's embarrassing because I'm in my car. But Jim had an unavoidable doctor's appointment today. And so we are in the parking lot of the medical building where Jim has to go. And so he's going to sit in there for an hour because his appointment isn't still for yet an hour. But we had to drive to Albuquerque to get here. So there was no choice. We have to do it. So I was embarrassed and I told Lynn, oh, but I'm going to be in my car. And he said, Lori, it won't matter. Everybody's here just to hear the information. They don't mind if you're in your car. So I hope you don't mind if I'm in my car. It's a 2014 Mazda CX-5, by the way. Hey, everybody. Oh, well, look at everybody. Yeah, I hope so too. Let's see, we'll find it. Yeah. Oh, good. The sound's good. So Pavel is signed in as me. That's why his name says Lori Williams. He signed in with my credentials so he could lead the meeting from his house because I wasn't sure if I would have a good enough connection to host the meeting out in the parking lot in the middle of Albuquerque, New Mexico. So we do what we have to do, right? Just to make things work. All right. Stefan Bouchard says, Lori, we don't mind. It's the new age. That's good.
It's really amazing that we can do this.
It is. I mean, Lynn's in Alamogordo sitting in his house. Pavel's in San Jose, California, sitting in his house. I'm sitting in a parking lot in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and all of you guys are joining from everywhere. Near Knoxville. Yeah. I just came back from Knoxville just recently. We don't have any snow. Yeah, Moselle. Oh, Moselle says we're having a blizzard here in Buffalo. Yeah, it was supposed to hit New Mexico really hard, and then all of a sudden it shifted and it went up above us and went up into Colorado and Wyoming. So we didn't get any snow.
They're welcome to it.
Yeah, you are. I'm so glad to see you. That's so good. Wow, people coming in from all over the world. And that's right, Susanna. Look how Chris says, look how advanced we've come since 1970. It's so true. Here's from Arizona, JB. I just met JB last night at our basic club meeting, and that was right. So I'm really glad to have met you. Or yesterday at noon too. That was great. And
Scotland, yeah, we have people from Europe too. Dubai, Quebec.
Dubai, wow. Nice. Rebecca, she says she doesn't hear anything or see anyone moving or talking. Rebecca, you might need to sign out and come back in. I don't know if she can even maybe we could. Mary, are you here? Mary, if you're here, could you type in the chat to Rebecca that she might have to sign out and sign back in? Okay, it's so good to see everyone. Wow, this is so awesome. And Kitty from the Netherlands. Jeff Davis from Central Florida. It's wonderful. Okay, wonderful. Everybody's here. Oh, Dundee, Scotland. Martin Andrews. It's wonderful. Hi, Constance. Constance is calling in from her. She just arrived in Florida after a 4-day trip from Canada. And so she wrote me this morning. Constance and I share excitement over our everything RV, remote viewing, and recreational vehicles. So. Oh, Juliana, I realized in the middle of the night the other night that I hadn't responded to your email, but I'm going to. You asked about doing an event for New Year's, and I am planning an event for New Year's. So we'll be doing something fun for New Year's. That'll be fun. And so you keep an eye out for my email. Great. Okay, Chicago, the sound is good. This is awesome. Okay. What am I missing here? Okay, awesome. All right. So if you are having any problems, maybe Mary type a message just to everybody that just says, if you're having problems with your video or sound, sign out and try signing back in. Oh, and Mayette says, I have good internet. I've tried signing out and in, but still frozen and no sound. But most people can hear us. So I'm thinking that it must be okay. Hi, Jody Schwimmer. It is. And Mashad says, I can't believe it. I made it. That's great. Okay, sorry. Everybody's having, some people are definitely having issues hearing us, but some people are hearing us very well. You're all good. You look and sound great. Hi from New Jersey. So I don't know why some people are having some problems. Oh my gosh, Benita, I'm in Albuquerque too. And Susanna says she hears everything clearly. Okay, good deal. All right, well, let's get going then. So how many people have questions? Okay, Hugh is asking, first question, there are devices that claim to enhance theta waves. Will these help? I'm assuming he's asking, will these help you remote view better? What do you think, Lynn? You want to talk about theta waves?
Yeah, we did a lot of this stuff in the military, and especially with the Monroe tapes, the Hemisync tapes. And we found that, yes, it helps you clear your mind before a session. However, during a session, it still kind of stalls your mind, and you want your mind clear. And so we found out that these devices that help you get your theta waves and all that are great to use before a session, but then during a session, they can actually limit what you are able to do. And so we just decided, yeah, use them beforehand, but not during the session.
That's wonderful information. And this is based on data that was kept when Lynn was in the military. So that's great information. Oh, let's see here. So here's one that's, greetings from, hi, Arnaldo in Chile. Vladimir asked, in some USAPs, there are headphone-like devices that you can RV any place on Earth. Dr. Stephen Greer. Okay, I don't know about that. I think that it's better personally. I was at an event once. I just want to tell a quick story. I was at an event once where there were groups of people from all different remote viewing training. Some were Lynn's students, some were my students, some were other, they were from a whole bunch of different schools. And there was one group, they couldn't remote view unless they had their headphones on. So I found that I tell my students, don't be prima donnas. No prima donnas allowed. Learn to remote view under any circumstances. Be tough and
Right.
resilient. I wonder where I got that from. Do you have an idea, Lynn, where I might have gotten that about being tough and resilient?
No, there's a new hammering it into you.
Yes.
I show my ignorance here. What is a USAP?
I have no idea. I have
don't either.
no idea what a USAP is. I thought maybe
The
everybody knew but me.
headphone-like devices, they're good as a crutch, I guess, but you can remote view any place on Earth, whether you have those on or not.
Exactly. And that's what we really try to teach our students. And I got this from Lynn, guys, but Lynn really wanted me to be a tough viewer, and his students were tough. And I really emphasize that with my students too. Be versatile and resilient, where you can view anywhere, anytime, without the need of any kind of headphones or apparatuses or anything, because it's all right here. This is the instrument right up here. Okay, so Jay Allen asked, IRVA Research Group just posted a survey on the topic. Is there a way to tell when you're on target or good data during the process? Yeah, we are actually, my group is going to be filling out that survey. My students that are intermediate level and above are, we just sent it to them this morning. So Is there a way to tell when you're on target or good data during the process? Any process or feeling to die in the aperture or the signal line? I know this is a complicated question, but what advice do you have on this? So Lynn, I'm going to give you the floor first, and just I'm interested to hear what you have to say about that. Have you seen Deborah's survey?
I've seen the survey. I didn't fill it out. I got halfway through it and I thought, I'm not filling this out.
Oh,
I don't know why. It
okay.
it seemed a little biased to me. But anyway, the thing that I finally came to is I'm getting impressions and writing them down. And after all of these years, I don't worry about whether I'm on target or not because I know that my subconscious is taking care of it. So this is one of the reasons why I just stopped filling the survey out because I think it's if you learn to remote view and you learn to have confidence in your remote viewing, it's a non sequitur question. You're going to be on target.
I agree, and I think one of the problems is it's the difference between above the limit and below the limit. When we've really developed that relationship between conscious and subconscious mind, then the information is coming in and we can trust it, even if we don't have any feeling that we're on or off target. We now just have a trust and a faith that my pal, my subconscious pal, is going to be right there with me, and we have this partnership, and I can trust what's coming in. And so I have a mantra that I don't know if it's fair to share in this polite company, but my mantra is give yourself permission to make shit up. Because when I came across that myself, it made all the difference. And I started becoming so much more accurate when I stopped stressing over whether I was right or wrong. And I just said, I'm just going to give myself permission to make shit up. And then, boy, did my viewing improve.
Yeah. And what you have to realize is that, they say, once you realize how humble you are, you're not. It's the same thing. You say, oh, I'm on target. Immediately, your logical mind is going to click in and start throwing away everything that doesn't match what you've gotten so far. And so the whole concept of feeling whether you're on target or not, I see it as a dangerous thing to your remote viewing. It's just going to drive AOLs.
That's really a great point. Maybe you should have a conversation with Deborah about it, and maybe they could alter the survey some way. I think that it would be a good idea.
For a reason, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. I was just thinking, though, that it would be really a good idea when putting together surveys like that to consult with the people who've been really teaching this for a long time. I've
been preaching that for years, and it's largely fallen on deaf ears. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to fill out the survey. I haven't filled it out yet, but I'm going to go ahead and fill it out, and I'll put my commentary in there about that too.
I probably will too. I was busy and I got halfway through the survey and thought, I'm too busy for this. I'm not going to do this. So anyway.
Yeah, so that's okay. That's really good. And so some people are still having problems. I'm just going to encourage them, go to the Facebook group. Okay. We're live on Facebook, so if anybody's having trouble, just go to the Facebook group if you're having any problems. And Pavel's putting that on there too. Go to the Facebook group. Okay, good. So people who are having trouble here are able to see us on Facebook. So that's good. Vladimir's asking if anyone is here with more than 3 years RV practice. Well, Lynn, how many years do you have now? Of remote viewing practice?
35 years, yeah.
35 years? Really? No, it's got to be more than that. Because you were in there in the 80s, right? Yeah.
84. So 84 is 16
94.
years and add 22 to that. Yeah. So
That's, yeah, that's true. 38 years. Okay, so I started out in 1996, so that's 26 years. So our combined, we have a lot of, we have over 60 years. That's kind of scary. So combined we do. And then Pavel started.
Old.
What?
Combined, it says we're getting old. Yeah.
Yeah, we are getting, yeah, look at my hair. It's all getting all white. Pavel started studying with me, I think, in 2011. So he's got 11 years in.
I'm a newbie, just 11 years.
It's just a newbie with 11 years. And then we have so many students that have been studying with us for years and years that have just been consistent and still come to things. And now those students are now helping and coaching other students. So I have a lot of students who've been doing this for way more than 3 years. So just to answer Vladimir's question. And
that's the question here. Did the military keep record of the viewers? Absolutely. And the effects of various conditions? Absolutely. And we even would instigate various conditions that wouldn't happen naturally. And also we had the medical teams that were constantly, checking for all these other features, and the psychological teams checking for any psychological effects and all that. The one test that we absolutely refused to take, one medical team wanted to find out whether or not when we remote viewed and got on target, our core temperature changed. And for that, they had this long thermometer to check our core temperature. And we said, no way. Ain't gonna happen.
I don't even want to know where was that thermometer going to go?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yikes. Carla asked a really good question. She said, when you run into a string of bad sessions, is there a way to know if you've reached a milestone or just not doing great? And let me explain. I was explaining to people that slumps are really expected and that they are milestones in your progress. And so you may not be doing great, but you are having a milestone regardless, because slumps are part of the deal. And I had a funny thing happen recently where a viewer went into her first slump. And she called me and she said, I think I'm just not cut out for this. I just had a terrible session and I was getting all the wrong information. And then, and I said, and what was the target? And she said, well, it was a sweet picture of this man proposing to his girlfriend. And I said, well, do you have any reason why you wouldn't like that picture? And she said, well, I've had 3 failed engagements. And so I think that, sometimes even when we are in a slump or we're not having a lot of sessions, there's always something you can learn from every session about yourself. So I just totally blew this target. Why did I blow it? What is there about this picture or photograph or target that I don't like? And a lot of times you'll find a lot about yourself. Like I discovered I had that fear of heights when Lynn could never get me to go up high. And he's like, do you have a fear of heights? And I was like, oh my God, yes, I have a terrible fear of heights. And that cured me of it.
And that's true for single targets. Everybody's going to have a bad target, a bad session. You're human. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a slump where you have this series of whole things, what we have seemed to have found out, we don't have accurate data on this like we would like, but let's say you have this whole series of bad sessions. You just cannot do a session and get any good at all. The problem is between your conscious and subconscious minds just sort of being at each other's throats over something that probably doesn't have anything to do with remote viewing. And you keep working the remote viewing targets and having these really pig slop sessions, And what happens is it forces your conscious and subconscious mind to start working together. And whatever problem in your life is causing all of this tends to get worked out too. And so generally we have found that after a slump, after you come back and you can start doing good sessions, pay attention to the rest of your life. I'll bet you some problem gets solved. And it's a natural part of setting up this line of communications with your subconscious mind. It works things out.
That's really good. Another question that came up that I was interested in from Jody Schwimmer. She asked if we don't have any research about CRV and Alzheimer's that I'm aware of. Do we, Lynn?
I don't think so.
Then she said, if 8 viewers are tasked with the same target at the same time, is it possible they're RVing each other's perceptions of the target? Are they in effect mind reading as opposed to connecting to the source, or is this just unknown? That's a great question.
Telepathic overlay, yes. Absolutely right. And this is one of the reasons why when you have a project, the project manager will never tell any of the viewers who else is viewing the target. Some telepathic overlay still happens. But what if I told you that this is a very important target and I'm only using you and Joe McMoneagle? You're going to view Joe McMoneagle. You're not going to view the target. And if Joe is wrong, you're going to be wrong too. Yeah.
That's really great. And then looking to see. Andy asked, do you and I, Lynn and Lori, have an opinion on the crypto viewing team with Daz Smith and Dick Allgaier? Do you have an opinion? All I know is I don't know Dick at all, but I know Daz and I really like Daz. I haven't had a lot of time to dive in and see really what they're doing. I've seen a few Facebook posts where they're doing different types of viewing. Daz has several groups now that going and doing different types of viewing, and I know crypto viewing is one of them, one of several groups that he has going. So I don't really have an opinion other than I really like Daz, and what I've seen of Dick, I like Dick too, but I don't know anything about the crypto viewing or their group, so Lynn might have more to say on that.
I know them both very well. They're both good viewers. And the aspect of viewing the crypto coins, I see no difference than viewing the stock market or going to Las Vegas and viewing the roulette wheel. It's basically the same principle. What impresses me is they are keeping records. They're finding out all the different methods and keeping records on each method to find out which works, which doesn't, and all that. And for me, oh yeah, that kind of information will help everybody once they find out what works and what doesn't. And so, yeah, I'm all for it. I hope they win some money. I don't know if they're doing that or not.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know a lot about it, but and it's not because I'm not interested or I don't like them. I just don't have time. Running this business and having so many students keeps us extremely busy. Pavel left a job of 18 years that was really stressing him out. And then after a few months working for me, he goes, I didn't think I'd be this busy. I was like, but
when I retired, I thought, oh, now I can take it easy. Forget that.
That's funny. That's really funny. Let's see. I was going to see here. This is a really great question that Denise asked. She said, because we've been viewing for so long, do we still need the structure? Do we still need the protocols? And what I tell my students is, the structure was really developed so that eventually you could remote view without the structure. But yet, when I get an operational tasking or any kind of, even when I practice, I still use the structure completely. And one of the great things about it is when you use it a lot, it becomes so part of you and so subconscious that it's just this wonderful thing that holds you up regardless of your conditions or circumstances. So you're having a really, really terrible day or something really is distracting you. If you focus on the structure, it kind of helps to bypass all the other stuff that's going on. At least that's what I've found, is that it tends to bypass it. And the structure really provides a great platform for getting information, regardless of how psychic you become after many years.
The structure works. And so the idea of learning CRV is to internalize that structure so you don't have to memorize it. And I mean, even Ingo Swann himself said, when he was talking about structure, he said, when all else fails, the structure will carry you through. And so hopefully you internalize that structure so you don't have to think about it. You're just doing it naturally. But on those days when everything else goes wrong and all that, you focus on the structure again, and the structure will carry you through. And listen, that's not a theory, that's experience.
It is. And yeah, and there was a time when I was still a pretty new student, and I was walking down my street doing the ambiance exercise, right? And I was checking the ambiance, and suddenly I felt as if I kind of walked into like something. I just like walked into a wall or something, and I felt very startled and like, what was that change of ambiance? And I looked at the house I was standing in front of, and for just a split second, it looked like there was like that yellow "Do Not Cross" police tape everywhere. But then it was just like a hallucination, and it was gone. And later that night, there were all these police cars, and they chased this guy and nabbed him exactly in the spot that I was in when I felt that big jerk, like something's really different. So what did I do? I immediately called my mentor, Lynn Buchanan, and I said, Lynn, listen to this. And I told him about it. And he said, oh, too bad you couldn't have done just a mini session right there in the street and just to find out what the deal was. And I was thinking, mini session? How do you do a mini session when you don't have a table and you don't have paper and you don't have a pen? I remember thinking that, and now since then, many times when something happens and I'm out on the street or out, and you don't have paper, pen, no table, nothing, you know what I do? I actually close my eyes and I imagine a piece of paper in my mind, and I start doing a session mentally in my head. And I'm still using the structure, but it's in my head. And it's amazing the answers that I've been able to get that way. So I don't have, so I'm still really using the structure, but it's all happening in my mind because I don't have a physical piece of paper and a pen with me. And it works great. And it's amazingly fast, believe it or not. It's kind of like, it just kind of goes bloop, 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 bloop in your head. And so now I know what Lynn was talking about. But back then I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? So anyway, that's, okay, let's see here. I'm trying to see.
More confident, in the process. Yeah, the structure also gives you confidence in what you're doing, Carla. Thank you. The structure is there for many, many reasons. One is so that your results and your work can be given to like a project manager who will get all the work in from many people who have all done the same thing, and that project manager can very easily put everything together because it's all in the same format. That was one of the reasons the military wanted the structure. One of the reasons Ingo wanted the structure was because he sat down there in his basement in New York and tried things over and over and over, and he found that the structure works, and a dependable structure will help you do dependable work. And so,
That's really, and I wanted to address one question here. Chris asked, any advice on how to keep your left brain off when doing an RV session? I practice daily and I am improving. We don't want to keep the left brain off. because what I've learned is that there is a dance that takes place, and we want to honor the conscious mind or the president of our company. If you've heard that analogy, we want to honor that part of our mind. I used to think it was like this big tug of war, and my conscious mind was my enemy, always trying to interfere with my sessions. And over the years, what I've really learned is no, it's a partnership. And the conscious mind is the reporter. It's the one getting all that information from the subconscious and writing it down. And when they can form that partnership, then the conscious mind, even stray cats and or AOLs and castle building, all of that is part of the process. It really is. I don't think there's ever a session I do that I don't start the session with the wrong idea frequently. I often start thinking, oh, it's going to be this, just automatically. It's a natural part of our thinking process. And the conscious mind, you don't want to shut that off. It's part of your brain.
Right. It's given each one the job to do. And what you want to do is get your conscious mind doing the job that it's there to do. So if your subconscious says it's red, and then your subconscious says it's green, and your conscious mind says, oh, well, you told me it was red, so I'm not going to write that down, and all this, then your conscious mind isn't doing its job. But if your subconscious says it's red, and your conscious mind says, oh, okay, I'll write that down. And then it says it's green. Oh, okay, I'll write that down. Then your conscious mind is doing its job, and you want to keep it active doing its job. But its job is that of an interviewer. And an interviewer is not supposed to argue with the person it's interviewing. It's that simple. Just write it down. And if you keep your conscious mind active doing that, then you're doing right.
This is great. And Constance asked a wonderful question. She said, is it okay to do several different targets in one day, or are you inviting problems by doing more than one target at a time? What's your opinion on that, Lynn?
Well, we've had to do that many times, and sometimes it even helps you to get your conscious mind out of the way. You do one target, you do another target, and then they say, well, I have a retasking on that first target. You've forgotten where that first target is, and so your logical mind is open now to actually viewing and just taking dictation. And so actually sometimes it can even help.
Yeah, if I have to do several in one day, like if there's let's say one time I had 3 deadlines all in one day. I did the first target in the morning, I did the next target at lunch, and I did the last one, kind of in the evening after dinner. And that way I had a little bit of a separation between them so they didn't bleed together. But I didn't find it taxing or difficult or in any way upset. Jay Allen
The most I've done in a single day was 10 targets. Wow. And that was when the military situation over in Kuwait and Afghanistan was really hot and heavy. Listen, I did 10 targets in a day, and you just do each target, you do it, and that's it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's neat. Jay Allen had a question that several people said, would you answer Jay Allen's question? So we'll look at his question. He said, assume we are trained in RV and we have a good grasp of the how as well as the why. Fully understanding the AOL pitfalls as the next generation, how do we advance the perceptive ability? I don't mean RV as a system. How do we become better receivers as trained and experienced viewers? I think practice. He's going to use the P word.
Yeah.
Really, that's the only answer, Jay Allen, is practice. It's the practice and the experience and doing a variety of targets where you're not always doing the same type of target. Like for 2 years, I worked on missing people, and it just got really taxing and draining for me, and to where I just was like, oh man, I have to give myself a break. It's better to do a variety of targets that run the gamut of locations, events, activities, people. you know, and a lot of different types of targets. It gives you great experience. It's really helpful to have a regular operational targets as well. I feel like practice and operational, even if even if you're starting out and you've been viewing only a few months, let's say, and you go, I'm not ready for operations. That's true, but you can still come up with a lot of inventive ways to do small real world targets. Like we joke about like let's say Pavel and I decide we're going to work together, and then I'm going to describe what he's wearing on any given day, or he's going to describe what I'm wearing, and that sounds hilarious, but truly it can be a helpful thing, like, oh, hey Pavel, are you wearing a blue sweater today? Yeah, I am wearing a blue sweater. I mean, it just that kind of thing occasionally can also really up the ante because you're practicing in a variety of ways. I think that's a helpful thing personally.
Yeah, and what you just mentioned was, okay, you practice your session, but then, hey, Pavel, give me some feedback. All right. And
Yeah.
so to practice, I would add, after you have done a session, go back over that session and show yourself where you tend to be right and where you tend to be wrong. And that's where you learn from a session, from your own doing. If you just do a session, you make all kinds of mistakes, you throw it over to a pile, the next one you make a mistake. All you're doing is setting yourself up a habit of making mistakes. Okay. But if you go over a session afterwards, line by line, and say, what was I doing when I got this right? What was I thinking when I got this wrong? And all that. That's where you learn. And very quickly, you learn how to remote view and how to become sensitive to your own AOLs, to when you're doing something right and when you're doing wrong. And so practice, review, review, review. It really makes a difference. It does.
It really does. Somebody's mentioning that we need to use Chrome browsers. Folks, the browser we use, we might all be on 3 different browsers. The browser we're using does not affect how you see us. It's the browser you use that will affect whether or not you're hearing us and seeing us. So you have to try different browsers if it's not working well, or just go to the Facebook page, Remote Viewing with Lori Williams, and we're live on Facebook. So you don't have to stay here if it's not working well for you. But like a lot of people are hearing us and seeing us just fine. It's the browser connection that you're using, or that makes a difference. So some people are like, you guys need to use Chrome browsers. Just find out which browser works for you. People are asking about sidereal time. For a couple of years, I tracked my sidereal time and didn't find that sidereal time had any effect on my viewing at all. So I don't know about sidereal time, but I thought it's kind of I don't think it really made a difference for me anyway.
I have found that for some people it does. And I found for one person, in fact, she tracked sidereal time for a year or so and couldn't really find a correlation until she tracked the sidereal time of her birthplace on all of those sessions. And then the Spottiswoode pattern really worked out.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, for everybody else, they track the time where they do the session and all that. So it's individual.
That's really interesting though, because I had a student who was an engineer, and he was also an expert in astrology, and I'm definitely not an expert in astrology, but he would do a thing called astrocartography, which tracked from your birthplace, and he could tell you, like, don't move to London because you're not going to do well there, but if you move to this place, you're going to do really well. And I found that there's a lot of correlation in that. I don't know why, but it's really an interesting thing. Let's see. Oh, for newbies, AOL stands for Analytic Overlay. An analytic overlay is when you think you know what the target is. For example, let's say that I picked up a perception of red, round, and rubbery, and I say, well, if it's red, round, and rubbery, therefore it must be a ball. That's analysis, that's logic. But in reality, what I don't realize yet is that the red thing's over here, the round thing is above me, the rubbery thing is to my left. They're three separate things, but I don't know that yet. I'm just starting my session. And so analytic overlay is when you logically assume a noun because you're trying to identify rather than describe the target. But our mantra is describe, don't identify. And so that's what analytic overlay is. And then we also talked about stray cats, and stray cats stands for subconscious transference of recollections, anxieties, and yearnings to consciously accessible thought. And, and that is when subconscious stuff bubbles up in your head. It might be your fears, your anxieties, your memories, your desires. And these thoughts pop in as a natural part of our process, right? And thoughts will pop in, and then you go, oh, I just had that thought about when my dad and I were playing ball when I was a kid, and I wonder if the target is going to be a ball game. So it's another form of noun that comes out, ball game, but we call that a stray cat. So it's not logic. This is not coming up from logic. It's just things bubbling up into your mind.
Yeah.
Lynn, do you remember when you told me the story how you thought if you could just get rid of stray cats and AOLs, that you'd be the perfect viewer, and then you did that experiment which showed you that was impossible? Do you remember telling me?
Yeah. We had the entire military unit went up to Los Alamos, where we did magnetoelectroencephalograph studies. They were studying what goes on in our brain while we're doing sessions. And so what they had us do, they focused on our visual cortex and tracked it while they showed us vertical and horizontal lines, so that they would see how our brain reacts to those. Then the next day, they had an assistant called Neville, and he got on a computer down in the basement of the building at the far end of the building from us, and we were told, access Neville. They started showing him the vertical and horizontal lines. And I think it was, I forget what percentage of the time, something like 58% of the time or something like that, that they showed him the lines. My brain reacted as though I were seeing the lines. Showed them that the mental mental transfer was there. However, what I was seeing was stands of birch trees, columns on old colonial homes, picket fences, railroad tracks, and horizontal things. And what I realized was that even at a subconscious level, your mind is going to take the impressions that you get and try to make something out of it. And so I realized that I can stop myself from logically saying red, round, rubbery, oh, it must be a ball. That's AOL. But the stray cats, the subconscious transfer of recollections, things that I had seen before in my life, the picket fences and all that, those come from the subconscious mind. You can't stop those, but you can realize that they're just a stray cat and that there's valuable information in them. And so as you learn CRV, you learn how to notice these stray cats and pull the information out of them without saying, yeah, it's a picket fence. Okay. It's a learning process. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. Someone asked, Fiona asked about the Silva method. I've done the Silva method. I checked it out, I guess, back in 2002. So I'd already been remote viewing for a number of years, about 8 years by the time I checked it out. It's very different from this. Silva method is truly hypnosis, even though Jose Silva said, no, it's not hypnosis. As someone who practiced hypnotherapy for 14 years professionally, Silva method is definitely hypnosis. It's a form of hypnosis and self-hypnosis, and it's wonderful, but it's not controlled remote viewing, which uses a structure to help you separate imagination from true psychic perceptions. A written structure. Silva method is, you're going to close your eyes and you're going to get in a meditative state, et cetera, et cetera. So they're just two. It's like trying to compare, what's the difference between an apple and an orange? They're both fruits, but they're very different. These are two methods utilizing the subconscious mind, but very, very different. So that answers that one. So, see. Trying to see if there's something. Oh, okay. So Jody asked, can you elaborate on the feeling component of the ideograms as you create them versus learning them as a language as we do in basic class? I don't know if that's quite the way you should differentiate it, Jody. It's not so much that one way is a language and the other way isn't. What it is that Tom McNear was sharing in a class about how as you do the ideogram, you can get the feeling component as you're doing it. So you might go, oh, this felt really fluid as it was coming out, and that's the way Ingo taught him, according to Tom. And that way, and then when you do your B, you're saying, well, it felt like water flowing over man-made, or something to that effect. Or you could say water and man-made. But with the other method, which a lot of people like better, it's kind of more like a mathematical equation in the sense that you do the ideogram and then you touch it to see how it feels, and you can feel the line. As you're feeling a line, it might have 3 or 4 gestalts there, and you can feel the difference as you run your finger over it. And so both methods are really effective and really helpful. I've just found that the more right brain people prefer the way Tom explained it, and the more left brain people prefer the way that Lynn has always taught it. And so what we do now is we always have taught it the way Lynn has explained it to us. And, probably 99% of our students probably use that way. And then there's now when we have people who are really struggling and going, Lori, I just don't get the feeling component part. It's not happening for me. I say, well, then try this. And I suggest they try it where they just feel it as they're doing it. And that seems to work better for them if they're really struggling with the other way. So that's been my experience as a teacher. Anyway.
Can I put in some clarification here?
Please.
I'm a linguist. I'm a linguist. I speak multiple languages, and I have studied language. I've studied linguistics. And at one point I said that the ideogram has linguistic qualities, which it does. And immediately detractors on the internet seized on that and said, Lynn says it's a language. No, I didn't say that. It has one part of speech, the gestalt. That's it. But it has linguistic qualities to it. And in the science of linguistics, okay, it has linguistic qualities to it, in that each ideogram does have meaning, and it does have a feeling to it, just like any word that you have in any language. It has a feeling. And so when you do these ideograms, you can go back and touch them and get a feeling, and that's normally called psychometry. People touch a ring and they say, oh, I know the history of the ring. It's simple psychometry. And so anyway, the ideogram in stage 1 is not a language. It's simply telling you the basic aspects of the target. However, if you understand that there are linguistic aspects to an ideogram, then when you get into stage 3, and you're doing two-dimensional ideograms. You get into stage 6, you're doing three-dimensional ideograms and all that. That's when you learn that even though it's not a language, it imparts communication. And that's the linguistic aspect of it, that it imparts communication. It doesn't have verbs, nouns, anything like that, but it is a communication device. Yeah.
Sorry, I muted myself so I could cough, and now that I kept it muted. Yeah, that's wonderful. I think that's a wonderful way of differentiating how we see this. And this is a wonderful question. It talks about, do you foresee a time where the conscious mind and subconscious will work hand in hand or 50-50 when tasked? Personally, now I feel like that. When I'm tasked with something, I feel like there's this wonderful partnership, and I don't think it's 50-50. I think the subconscious mind carries the bulk of it during the session, and the conscious mind has a role. So to me, it would be more like 80-20 or 90-10 rather than 50-50.
Yeah.
But
like you say, it's a dance. Somebody's got to lead.
Yeah, exactly.
If you let the conscious mind lead, you're not going to do well. You let the subconscious lead the dance, you're going to do great.
That's exactly right. And I think too that sometimes, talking about strict CRV, what I've found from many years of doing this, and Lynn, I'd love to hear your experience about this too, but what I've found in my own experience is that, and a lot of my students as well, is the more you practice CRV using the structure and do what Jay Allen refers to as strict CRV, the more that branches out into other aspects of your life, to where you're just suddenly intuitively, you have intuitive knowing, or you are just kind of tuning in, even when you're just, out and about doing your daily stuff, and it just kind of comes naturally, and you're not sitting down with paper and pen and all that. And I think that it just sort of bleeds into everything. And I've so many people I know, including myself, have found that other, I guess you could call them other gifts or other talents suddenly kind of manifest throughout your time of practicing. But for me, it always comes back to my foundation, which is the structure of CRV.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take on it. Lynn, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that was perfect. Yeah.
Okay. And then someone also asked if viewers on the autism spectrum are less susceptible to AOLs or stray cat because they're more literalistic. No, Martin, I now have so many students. I don't know how many we have all in total, but we've been working with hundreds, perhaps even thousands of students now. And I have a lot of students who are on the spectrum, some more, more than others, but I haven't found them to have any less issues with AOLs or stray cats than anyone else. Personally. So I don't think being on the autism spectrum affects in that way. And for those asking about the recording, just know that once we're done and we process it, then we put it up on the YouTube channel, Intuitive Specialist YouTube channel, and we also put it in the Remote Viewing with Lori Williams Facebook group. And so you can always access it there. And Stéphane Bouchard asked, is ARV the best way to collect numbers or coordinates or things like that? And I think phase 6 is a really good way to also get numerical information. I prefer it to ARV personally.
Well, I do too. ARV is extremely simple to learn. The stage 6, you have to work your way up to it and learn your way up to it. Stage 6 in CRV works better.
This is one we have to address. Oh, I'm sorry.
ARV
I
is
thought you were...
quickening. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's quick. I apologize, Lynn. This one just jumped out at me. It said Major Ed Dame says that ideograms don't really matter, and you say that it does. Can you speak to it? Oh my gosh! Don't even get me started. You better take this one, Lynn. I might say something offensive.
Okay. Look at the results.
Yeah, that's true. Look at the results. That's a good one. All I can say is when I first started, I think that people who don't get ideograms, who truly don't get ideograms, never, they just miss something that's so magical and wonderful.
Right.
And when Mel was alive and Mel and I used to talk a lot, he said, there's people who got into this for the wrong reasons, or who never really went in depth, and they never became good viewers. And other people went into this with a totally different attitude, and they became like amazing world-class remote viewers. And so I always say the proof is in the pudding. Look at the results and just see. I know that I've had a lot of ed students who've come to me after studying with ed and are still with me today, still working with me. And so I don't want to insult Major Ed Dames at all. I don't even know him. I've never met him. But I have seen some fruit that I didn't see as being good fruit. There's good fruit and there's bad fruit, and I didn't see some good fruit. And so I just feel like, ideograms are vitally important. And it takes a while though, because when I first started studying with Lynn, he would say, I could teach for a week on ideograms, just ideograms alone. And I'd be like, really? Why? And I didn't get it. It took me a while before it really clicked in, but once it did, I was like, oh my gosh, ideograms are amazing.
They really are. And when you get into stage 3, I noticed, I forget who said it, stage 3 is sketches. That sketch is an ideogram. You touch it, you touch the lines, you touch the space around it and all that, then you get information. You can treat that as a 2-dimensional ideogram. When you get into stage 6, we have highly complex ideograms that we teach that can get you information such as the relationship between two cultures in the aspect of religion, economics, education, whatever, and using ideograms. And so, yeah, the ideogram that you learn in stage 1 is just a 1-dimensional ideogram, very simple. But the ideogram can be taken to such extreme levels of complexity that if you don't learn the basics, you'll never learn the rest. And so, those people who do not believe in the ideograms and do not practice the ideograms and do remote viewing without them, look at the results.
Yeah, I found that one time I was asked to interview a student who had gone through a number of remote viewing classes and was supposedly an advanced student. And so I said, oh, would you send me one of your best sessions? The session I got was garbage, and there were no ideograms. And so I said, what happened to phase 1? And he said, oh, I never cared for phase 1, so I just don't do it. And his session was truly garbage. There was no useful information in it. And so I tell my students, the ideograms, and somebody asked, can ideograms lead to a gestalt? Ideograms represent the gestalt. That's what ideograms are. And they provide the foundation for the whole rest of your session. It's what you build upon. So without ideograms, you don't really even have a session. You can't build your session without that foundation. So it's really, really important. Yes, so ideograms are all about the gestalt.
Yeah, one of the side effects of the ideogram is that you do the ideogram and you say, oh, there's land, water, and man-made. You now have a structure for the rest of your session. I'm going to view the land. Now I'm going to view the water. Now I'm going to view the man-made. As you get through with your session, you have your summary. Oh, let me tell you about the land. Let me tell you about the water. Let me tell you about the man-made. And that one ideogram gives structure to your entire session. You're no longer at the mercy of your subconscious mind just rambling around saying, oh, it's red, it's green, squirrel.
So true. And we have, I mentioned earlier, Chris, that for 2 years I worked with law enforcement doing nothing but missing people. And so, yeah, and Lynn, you've done lots of stuff with law enforcement. We have a woman who just joined who just joined our group, and she is the commander for a major police department. So so I was like, oh wow, that's exciting to be working with someone who's a commander of a major police department. And I mentioned, hey, that would be great. We could get some already solved cases, and and have our advanced viewers work on some already solved cases. And she was like, yeah, that would be. She was all for it. So I was really excited about that. Okay, wow. So I think we're just about to the end of our time. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Do you see something that we should answer right away? Nancy
Just
says,
read here.
thank you for constantly reinforcing these basics. These are great. And like, preach it, Lori. Yeah, you can take the missionary out of the mission field, but you can't take the mission field out of the missionary. That's so funny. Yeah, ideograms really are. They are so important.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then, yeah, people are like, yeah, I needed to hear that. Jay Allen asked about remote viewing yourself. She says, Lori, please talk about RV yourself. There's a video on the Intuitive Specialist channel about how to do sessions for yourself, how to RV yourself. The best way, though, truly, is to make friends with really good remote viewers. And then when you have to get some information excuse me for the noise, if you have to get some information that it's hard for you to get, it's the best thing is to have a really good remote viewing friend that will remote view it for you. Like you've lost something, you've lost your wedding ring, and you're just so panicked about it that you can't view it for yourself because your emotions are getting in the way. So you call up your friend, hey Lynn, I lost my wedding ring.
One of the things you will notice about Lori's and my training is that we preach community. Other trainers seem to just run you through a course, give you a diploma, and out the door. We preach community, working together, helping each other, and monitoring for each other, learning together. Each one
It's
teaches.
so true. Yes, it's so true. And that's so important. Lynn, do you have any updates on the ranch before we sign off real quick? Because some people are asking.
The virus that attacked the donation part has been fixed. So it wasn't a virus to start with. It was a button capture program that when you clicked a button, instead of going to the donation thing, it would go to for a while it was going to a dog groomer in New Zealand, but it would push a button and send you somewhere in the wrong place. And so it wasn't a virus, but it stopped people from giving. But that's all fixed now. The ranch, we now have someone lined up to smooth out the road and pave it to get there. We have the plans. We have good support so far, and we have plans for insulating the building that's already out there. We have furniture now to turn it into a classroom, and we're getting solar power for it, and just we're working along with it, and we're having
That's so exciting.
support. But now that malware is gone, it's safe for people to sign up, and the information there is remoteviewranch.com, and you can see pictures of it, and I'll answer any information anybody wants. We hope to make it a resource for all remote viewing trainers, and teaching place and also a research place to study and develop the remote viewing.
Yes, and so guys, also there's Lynn and I are trying to provide as many resources as we can because our vision is to reach as many people around the world who can learn this and find out they have amazing potential. And so you can, sorry, Narina, you can go to there's a free masterclass on my website. Lynn and I both have books that you can read that will really help you. I actually make Lynn's book a requirement for my students. It's called The Seventh Sense. It's such a wonderful, wonderful book. The Seventh Sense, Boundless, is a book that actually teaches the first stages of remote viewing. So, and I'm working on the next Boundless. So we have Boundless 1, we call it Boundless 1. And Boundless 2, I'm hoping will come out soon. So you can check out all these resources that are inexpensive. There's a lot of either free and inexpensive resource on both Lynn's website, which Mary's been posting lots of links to Lynn's website, to my website. And so you can, does Santa remote view? Anyway, you can, so you can really take advantage of a lot of these resources. If you haven't tried them yet, definitely jump in. Oh, cool. Dax posted, beautiful, Lynn, love community. Also, today's news, scientists hit a key milestone in the quest to create abundant zero carbon power through nuclear fusion. Cool.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. And anyway, so that's great. That's wonderful. I don't think anybody's talking.
They have also, by the way, developed what they call a Earth engine. I've only seen a little bit about it, but it runs without the nuclear, and it runs basically off of Earth energy and produces electricity. And if they get that developed, it's totally carbon-free, totally pollution-free, not radioactive in any way, and it will hopefully revolutionize things.
That is super exciting.
That pollution.
We do. We really do. That's wonderful. That's so great. Well, guys, I think we've run out of time now. Thank you so much. I don't know what some of these things mean, but anyway, guys, thank you all so much. We really appreciate you. Also, just for people to know, Jay Allen posted the survey that Irv is doing, but the survey is only for people who have reached intermediate level and above. So if you're a newbie, the survey, please don't fill out the survey because it'll skew the results that they're trying to get. They asked if only intermediate level and above viewers will fill it out. So just wanted to put that in there. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you all. Merry Christmas to you too. Hope you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful time. We love you all very much. And we'll be back with you next month. What's our day next month, Pavel, that we're doing this?
I don't think we have a date yet.
Oh, that's right. Lynn, we haven't set up a date.
It's end of the year. We need a date.
That's right. We'll get together with Lynn and we'll set up some dates for next year for it. But we'll definitely, Lord willing, and if we're granted more time here on the planet, we will definitely have another Lynn and Lori webinar in January. So Good. Have happy holidays, everybody. We'll be in touch soon. Thanks, guys, for everything. Talk to you.
Bye-bye.